Hello, YouTube. I'm Anthony.
I'm Monica.
And we're the Cooks. You didn't say it with me.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know what? No, we're not starting over. Okay. So, the reason we're not starting over is before we did this, we probably should have communicated the fact of that when we did our intro, I was going to say, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Monica.
And we're the Cooks. So, we should have done that. So, that's a great way to open up to talk about what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about communication. Okay? Communication is something that probably won't be covered in 1, 2, 3, 15 videos. We're going to have to do a lot of videos on communication because communication is very broad. And one thing about it is that our marriage is largely built on the fact that we've worked really, really hard to work on our communication and make sure that we have the ability to be able to talk to each other. And I'm going to give you an example of communication. I remember one time I came to my wife, and I want you to really think about this sentence that I'm about to say, okay? I came to my wife and I said, and my heart was very sincere. I was very honest in what I was saying. It was meant to be a genuine compliment. But after I say it, you're going to understand how it could have been misconstrued just because of communication. This is what I said. I said, honey, you're a whole lot prettier now than when we first met.
And I was like, what is he saying? Was I ugly?
And that's not what I was saying. What I was trying to say to my lovely wife is that she's gotten more and more beautiful the longer that we've been together. My desire to communicate my desires to her, which was my compliment, was met by what her mind state was thinking at the moment that I relayed my communication. I know that's kind of confusing. So let me explain it like this. When I said to her, and I was going to her because she was just really looking beautiful that day. I always say that she looks very vivid. But I went to her because I wanted to tell her genuinely how beautiful she looked that day. And my efforts were to be able to tell her, because we've been together for 25 years. And I think when I paid that compliment, we had been together like 15 years. And so my genuine effort was to communicate to her that she's gotten more and more beautiful with age. But before I made my comment, started the communication, didn't think about all the different ways that could be relayed, translated, and accepted. And so when you start to communicate, and right now I'm really just talking like to the guys, when you start trying to communicate to your wife, to your significant other, think about not just what you're saying, but how is it going to be received? We've learned through our marriage that it's not so much just what you say, but how you say it, and at the times that you say it.
That's right.
See, perfect example of communication. Perfect example of communication. You communicated that well, baby. I mean, you just brought that to light. Great job on communication. So in that communication, when you start to have because we're going to start giving you instructions on ways to be able to open up into communication. And being able to open up into communication means being able to have some presets before you get into your conversation as far as your communication.
I can tell you something that really affects your communication. That is your background. Because when we got married, I come from a very dominant, the women in my family are very dominant. The children were to be seen and not heard. So I was raised where I basically kept all my feelings inside. And I remember when we got married and stuff used to upset me. And I remember sitting on the couch one time and he came to me and he said, Monica, if you don't open up and tell me what's wrong, we'll never be able to work on it. And it was as if somebody came to me and said, you matter. Your feelings matter. I want to know how you feel, what you're thinking. If I say something that that just really hurt you. But here's the thing. Sometimes, just like him telling me that I was pretty, because of all the mixed signals that I got when I was being raised up, that hit me the wrong way, even though he was coming from an innocent place. But because of my background, it wasn't perceived the right way. But when he told me that I mattered, it was like somebody took the top off of a genie bottle. And ever since then, I've been
she
throwing
communicates.
up.
She communicates. She will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And fellas, I'm going to tell you, I know how you feel. Women love to talk. They do. And ladies, as men, we're really not like that. We are different type of creatures. Most men are not big into communicating. I actually really, really had to work, and a lot of people who know me think I talk too much, but I really had to work really hard on being able to communicate. Not just talk, but actually be able to communicate. And communication is that effective listening, where you actually stop and you listen to what somebody says. But ladies, let me tell you this, and I mean everybody, let me tell you this. When you start talking about communication, communication has to be something that is an open receiver. Meaning that if you say something, you have to be able to say it without fear of repercussion, chastisement, or it being automatically thought to be the wrong thing. When I was younger and I used to go out and I was living with my grandfather, when I would go out, my grandfather would say, okay, well, you're going to be going out and I need for you to give me a call and let me know, how you're doing. Let me know that you're okay because I worry about you. And I said, okay, and I understand that. And so I tried. And so I would be out and I'd be having a good time and I'd say, oh, let me call my grandfather. And so I called my grandfather, and when I call him, where are you at? When are you coming home? Why aren't you doing this? Da-da-da-da. And so he would yell at me. So every time I called him, he would yell at me. So I stopped calling. And then my grandfather came to me and he said, why did you stop calling me? I said, because every time I call you, you yell at me. So I don't want to call you anymore.
Yes.
What he had done was, in the effort to get me to communicate, i.e. me calling him, he built up a wall so that every time I called him, I knew that my call was going to be met with opposition because he would be yelling at me. It got me to the point to where I never wanted to open up and talk to him. And so then it got to the point to where I would go out and he didn't trust me. Listen to the word I said. He didn't trust me because he automatically felt like that I must be doing something out there that I shouldn't be doing because I'm not communicating to him what I'm doing. Well, I had all of these thoughts inside of my head. He had all of these thoughts inside of his head, and we could never communicate to each other what the problem was. And then one day I opened up to him and I said, Granddad, the reason that I don't call you is because every time I call you, you yell at me. So he said, well, how can we fix this? And he actually was receptive. I said, how about I call you and I tell you what's going on and you don't say anything? And then we just get off the phone. And he's like, okay. So I would call him up and I'd say, hey, Granddad, I'm out with my friends. We just left a restaurant and we're getting ready to go to a party. All right. And then he hang up the phone. Well, what it did was, like she said, it took the bottle off the genie, the top off the bottle and released the genie, which gave me the freedom and the liberty to be able to say, oh, okay, I don't have a fear of calling him because when I call him, he's just going to listen to what I have to say. Ladies, if every time your husband starts to talk to you about something, or if every time you start to talk to your husband about something, he automatically feels like it's going to start into a conversation of you yelling at him, or you fussing at him, or you telling him what he's not doing or what he needs to do, then what he'll do is he'll do like I did. He'll shut down the communication. He'll close up and he won't tell you anything. And you will start to worry that he's not communicating with me. So because he's not communicating with me, there's something that's not there to be trusted. Not realizing that what's happened is that you've made him not trust you because he automatically assumes that when he talks to you, it's going to start into an argument.
And I don't know if that's really like a trust thing more than it's like feeling like they're going to get attacked.
Yeah.
When you're communicating, the other person has to be able to express themselves without feeling like they're going to be attacked. You have to learn how to talk to each other in such a way that, because you always tell me perception is everything. He can say I love you, and while it's coming to me in the air, it's like he hates me. I perceived it that way for whatever reason. But the thing is, when you're communicating and talking with each other, you cannot, you have to keep an open mind. A lot of people, when you talk to them, it's like they're already starting arguments in their minds. And then you start talking to them and they've already built up a defense, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to say this. And then there goes your communication. It's out the window. Now you're arguing and nobody's being heard. Words are being said that can't be taken back.
Whoa.
Feelings are being hurt. I've heard you describe it like a broken egg. You can never put a broken egg back together. Once the words are out there, now you got to work through the hurt. Now you got to work through, I didn't mean it that way. And that's why we always say have you ever been riding in the car and you say something and then all of a sudden it's like you bickering back and forth? Well, with me and Daz, when that happens, we're like, okay, wait a minute. This is not God. Something's going on. And we actually stop and pray.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait a minute. This doesn't even make sense. I said the sky is blue. All of a sudden you're saying it's green. Now we're arguing. And it's like nobody's understanding.
Yeah.
So we stop and we actually pray, because you have to know when confusion is trying to just make you guys not communicate. So when you're talking to each other, calm down. It's not an attack thing. We always say our marriage is a corporation, and if we can't communicate with each other, the corporation doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, communication. It's very important in any relationship expert. And like we said, we're not experts. We truly are not experts, and we don't claim to be experts. What we are two people that have been married for a long time. We're best friends. We have a good relationship, and we thank God for everything that He's done in our relationship.
Yes, we
And
do.
we know that the things that we've learned in our relationship that we're sharing with you and we're opening up to you is because God gave it to us, and we want to be able to give it back to somebody else. And so
I'll put communication right up there with intimacy.
you know what?
I think it's above that.
I love that. And you know what? We're gonna that's something that we're gonna talk about. That's something we're going to talk about. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing us on Facebook and letting everybody know about us. We do have a Facebook page. It's The Cookes, THE space COOKES, The Cookes. It's our Facebook page. Please like us and share our videos. Not so that we can build up subscribers or that we can get any kind of fame or notoriety out of this, just so that we can bless as many couples as possible. That's our goal. That's our mission.
And just to let you know, we tell our daughters all the time, and our son, talk, 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 talk. Before you get married, after you get married, talk, talk. Don't attack each other. It's not a war game. Who can get the last word in? Talk. I can't express that enough, because us learning how to communicate with each other transcended over into raising our children to where we can communicate with them without them feeling like we're going to judge them or them feeling like they don't matter. Communication is like,
beautiful. So YouTube, again, thank you for subscribing. Really, thank you for your comments. The comments have been phenomenal. We really, really appreciate them. Some of the comments that have come have just blown us away.
Yes.
We're starting to get comments from people that we don't know. We thank so much to people that we do know that comment, because you genuinely know our heart. And we appreciate your comments super much.
And it's very encouraging.
It's very encouraging, because this is not easy. So thank you, YouTube. We love you guys. And remember, 1 + 1
equals 1.